And we're getting to my prediction. Just hang with me here for a second. Joe Biden, on top of, standard flubs like this and looking like an idiot in his bike helmet, Joe Biden appears to be losing the culture. He does. Breitbart said politics is downstream of culture. It's true. Joe Biden has lost card-carrying Democrat Snoop Dogg. And don't get me wrong, we're not going to start lining up behind Snoop Dogg, but Snoop Dogg, he's a big weed guy, the devil's lettuce. He has a Sleepy Joe OG, quote, "You won't even remember what country you were in." Now, you can scoff at that. And, Jesse, that doesn't matter. Who cares about Snoop Dogg? Oh, I don't know, the 74 million people who follow him on Instagram. I don't care. You don't care. But a lot of people do care. Which brings me to our point. Joe Biden, 58% disapproval, 30% approval. That gap, that's the biggest in recorded history. Gas prices are high, inflation is high, people are miserable, people are angry. So, where am I going with all this? Do you remember what I said back in April? I don't want to act like this is the first time I said this, so I'm actually just going to play me from back in April. I think the powers that be are tired of Joe Biden, frustrated with him, and I think this entire thing is a coordinated effort to get Joe Biden to resign after the midterms. What did we see over the weekend? Almost like a snowball effect. It went way beyond Snoop Dogg and his weed. Well, we saw a gigantic hack of Hunter Biden's information, and I'm not going to play these things for you on this show because they're not family friendly at all, but let's just say there was a whole lot there with Hunter Biden, with Joe Biden, drugs, all kinds of illegalities and things I'm not going to elaborate on. Okay, so Hunter Biden's a grease fire. That's not new. Well, here's what is new. The New York Times attacking Joe Biden. Understand that the New York Times is probably the most despicable publication in the United States of America. You could make an argument the paper itself should be broken up and disbanded for treason, for high treason. They are absolutely and have been the mouthpiece for the Democratic Party, and yet they're running headlines now that say, quote, "At 79, Biden is testing the boundaries of age and the presidency." The New York Times is now openly slipping a knife into the ribs of Joe Biden. And let me tell you something, this article went way beyond a headline. They go on to say they had to postpone trips for Joe Biden so he could get rested up and properly function. There's a bunch of really ugly stuff in there. So you have the Hunter stuff, you have the Joe looking like a doofus stuff. They're even asking Dome some very pointed questions about Joe Biden's viability for 2024.
There is speculation among some Democrats and some Republicans that President Biden won't run for re-election in 2024. What's your message to those who say that?
Listen to President Biden. He intends to run. And if he does, I intend to run with him. So there you go.
Why is that funny? She's so awkward. But still, this is something that's happening right now. Joe Biden is not functional. He's not in control. It's very obvious now from pictures and video we have that he's being handled by everyone, including his wife, Jill Biden, who's been seen publicly scolding him multiple times. We have a deteriorating old man as president of the United States of America who has to be led around by his nose. And speaking of Jill Biden, you ever heard of the name Gary Valesky? Former three-star general. He's now a consultant, government contracts. That's the general life. When you retire, you generally still get paid to go do some consulting work. Well, he said, "Glad to see you finally know what a woman is," on social media, on Twitter, actually, to Jill. He's fired now. Yeah, he's fired. You see, you can't criticize the regime. Why is this general fired? Because Democrats actually take their purge of the military very seriously. They would never allow anyone to serve who might even slightly question anything about them. Republicans, however, they love doing that. They love making every excuse in the book for useless generals, useless admirals, people with a bunch of ribbons on their chests.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, The Forgotten Genocide, the first episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.